Story 1. The Suspicious Date. It was New Year's Eve, and I found myself alone in my apartment, staring at my phone. The calendar flipped to 2024, but I felt stuck in the past. I'd just turned 30, and something about hitting that milestone felt like a punch in the gut. The last few years had been filled with heartbreak, missed connections, and self-doubt. I was ready to try again, to throw myself into the world of dating, despite all the horror stories I'd heard. So I downloaded a dating app, Hinge, thinking, why not? It's time for something new. It wasn't long before I matched with Tasha. Her profile was everything I'd been looking for, a woman who seemed confident, spontaneous, and ready to laugh. She had a picture of her at a rooftop bar, another one with friends at a concert, and one where she was hiking on a trail with a view of the mountains behind her. I found myself drawn to her, not just because of her looks, but because of the ease in her messages. She wasn't playing games, and it felt real. After a few days of chatting, we agreed to meet. "How about Friday night at that arcade bar on Elm Street?" I suggested. She responded quickly. "Sounds fun. See you there at 8. I thought this was going to be the night. But when the day arrived, things started to feel off. I arrived early, parked outside the bar, and noticed how quiet it was for a Friday night. Only a couple of cars were parked. It struck me as odd, but I shrugged it off. Maybe it was just a quiet night. I sat down at a table by the window, scanning the crowd for her face. The minutes ticked by. 8:05. 8:15, I checked my phone. Nothing. Where was she? What would you do if someone didn't show up after you've waited for 15 minutes? Would you leave or wait longer? Finally, at 8:30, I received a text from Tasha. "I'm so sorry. I'm running late, having car trouble. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Relieved, I relaxed a little. But as the minutes dragged on, my excitement started to turn to unease. The arcade bar was nearly empty. The bartender smiled politely, but there was an eerie stillness in the air. Where was everyone? Then, just as I was about to check my phone again, I got another text from Tasha, but this one felt off. "I'm in the parking lot, but there's a problem with my car. Can you come around the back to help me?" It didn't make sense. The back of the bar was nothing but a dark alley with dumpsters and a chain-link fence. I felt an unease in my gut. I tried to call her. No answer. What would you do if someone asked you to meet them in a dark, isolated place like that? Would you go, or would you leave? I stood there, frozen for a moment. My instincts were screaming at me to leave. So, I texted her back. "This doesn't feel right. I'm leaving." I started to walk toward my car, but just as I reached it, two figures in dark clothing rushed toward me, moving quickly through the shadows. My heart stopped. My feet didn't think, they just moved. I threw open my car door, jumped in, and slammed the gear shift into reverse. As I peeled out of the parking lot, my mind raced. Had I just narrowly escaped something dangerous? Who were those people? As I sped down the street, I saw a flash in my rearview mirror. My stomach twisted. Were they following me? What would you do if you thought you were being followed? How would you protect yourself in that moment? I took the first turn I could, trying to shake them, but I didn't look back until I got home. Once inside, I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. But then I noticed it. On the top of my car's trunk, there was a dent. I hadn't noticed it in the heat of the moment, but now it was obvious. Someone had thrown something at my car as I fled. A rock? A bottle? I didn't know, but it didn't matter. My heart was pounding in my chest. I grabbed my phone and dialed the police. I think I was just targeted by some people after a date that went wrong. The officer who answered didn't sound hopeful. Okay, we'll send someone to check it out, but I wouldn't expect much. I sat there, waiting for some kind of confirmation, but none came. I never heard from them again. The lack of follow-up left me feeling isolated, like I was the one who had to make sense of what had happened. For a while, I couldn't stop thinking about Tasha, her face, her profile, her words. How could I have been so trusting? It seemed like the perfect setup for something bad. I deleted my dating app and promised myself I wouldn't meet someone off of it again unless I knew them better. But then something unexpected happened. A few weeks later, I got a message from her. "Hey, I'm really sorry I didn't make it the other night. Something came up and I wasn't able to explain, but I really want to try again." I stared at the message, my fingers hovering over the screen. My first instinct was to ignore it, to walk away from the whole thing. But part of me felt curious. Was this her or someone else? Who was I really talking to? That message from Tasha haunted me for days. I was torn between curiosity and caution. Was it really her? Or had I just narrowly escaped something worse, only to find myself tempted to walk right back into it? I couldn't ignore the fact that something felt off. Something in my gut told me I had dodged a bullet. I didn't reply. I couldn't. After that night, I realized how fragile trust can be when you're online. There's no way to know who's on the other side of the screen. Tasha, or whoever she really was, had shown me how quickly things could go from exciting to dangerous. Since then, I've made one rule for myself. I never meet anyone in person without getting to know them first. No more blindly trusting profiles. If it doesn't feel right, I don't ignore the signs. Now, when I match with someone, I always make sure to call or FaceTime them before agreeing to meet. If they hesitate or come up with an excuse, I know it's time to walk away. It's better to be safe than sorry. What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Would you have given Tasha a second chance? Or would you walk away for good? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Story 2. The manipulative catfish. It was the fall of 2023. The pressure of school and my personal life was overwhelming. Every day felt like a rush of assignments, exams, and the constant weight of future decisions hanging over me. I needed an escape. So I turned to my phone, hoping to distract myself from the looming board exam and everything else. That's when I met him, Liam. He was charming from the start, with a profile that made him look like someone who had everything figured out. A picture of him in a suit at a wedding, another of him traveling across Europe, and a candid shot at a coffee shop that seemed so real and relatable. Liam was the kind of guy I had always dreamed of. Adventurous, well-spoken, with just the right amount of mystery. Our conversations were easy, the kind that make you smile even on the toughest days. We started texting, then chatting on the phone. He was funny, calm, and had a way of making me feel important. For the first time in months, I felt like someone truly understood me. We spoke late into the night, sharing everything, our hopes, our insecurities, our dreams. I felt a connection growing stronger by the day. But there was something off about him. It wasn't glaring at first. It was small things that I brushed off. For example, Liam never seemed to want to meet in person. He made excuses his schedule was busy, his family needed him, or he was dealing with work stress. At first, I didn't think much of it. We were busy, after all. He had mentioned he was traveling a lot, so maybe it just wasn't the right time. But there was more. Every time we tried to FaceTime, there was an excuse. "My camera isn't working," he'd say. "I'm on a borrowed laptop and the camera's broken." Eventually, I started to question it, but every time, he'd reassure me. Have you ever felt like something wasn't quite right, but pushed it aside anyway? What made you ignore those red flags? Then came the first time he asked for something. It started small, a sexy selfie, he said, just to feel closer. At first, I laughed it off and told him I wasn't comfortable with that. He apologized, but soon, he started asking again. This time, I said no more firmly, but it didn't stop him. "It's just for fun," he insisted. "We're close now. You know I'd never ask you for anything inappropriate." The requests became more frequent, and the pressure grew. He'd sulk if I said no, disappear for hours or days, and then reappear with an apology. It felt like emotional manipulation. He wasn't asking for anything outrageous, but there was this nagging feeling that if I didn't comply, I would lose him. I hated myself for feeling that way, but at the same time, I didn't want to lose the only connection I had in such a lonely time. One night I confronted him about it. I told him I wasn't comfortable and that I needed him to respect my boundaries. His response: "If you really cared about me, you wouldn't be so uptight. We're in a relationship now, and that's what people do." That was the moment I realized something wasn't right. This wasn't the man I thought I knew. What would you do if someone you trusted started pushing your boundaries like that? Would you stand your ground, or would you start questioning your own feelings? Despite my growing doubts, I couldn't shake the feelings I had for him. We kept talking every night, the emotional manipulation still simmering in the background. I was in too deep. Then, just before Christmas, he finally agreed to meet up. He seemed so genuine in his excitement. "I can't wait to see you in person. I'm ready for us to take the next step," he said. My heart fluttered with the thought of finally seeing him, of this connection turning into something real. I asked him to come to my family's Christmas dinner. "Come meet my family. Let's start the new year right." He agreed immediately, no hesitation. For the first time in weeks, I felt a spark of hope. Maybe things could work out. Maybe he was just going through a rough patch, and now we'd finally be able to meet face to face. But then, the phone call came. It was the night before Christmas Eve. His voice sounded different, shaky, almost as if he was crying. "I need to tell you something," he whispered. It didn't take long for him to confess. He wasn't the man he'd said he was. All those photos, taken from a popular influencer. His name, fake. His job, made up. His entire life, a lie. My heart dropped. I couldn't breathe. My stomach twisted. "I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I wanted to be someone you'd like," he said. I wanted to scream at him, to ask why. But I couldn't. I felt so betrayed. For months, I'd thought I knew him, and now it turned out I knew nothing. He wasn't just a catfish. He was someone who had preyed on my loneliness, my vulnerability. He sent me a picture of himself, the real him. It was a face I didn't recognize. His eyes, dull and lifeless. His hair, unkempt. Everything about him was different from the person I had been talking to. Then came the worst part. When I told him I was done, that it was over, he snapped. "You only like me for the photos. You didn't care about me, you never did." He ranted, his words turning to venom. "You're just like all the others, abandoning me when I need you most." It wasn't enough that he had lied to me. Now he was making me feel guilty for not loving him for who he really was. The emotional manipulation had gone too far. I blocked him. But as I sat there in my room, staring at my phone, I couldn't shake the feeling that he wouldn't just let this go. I felt like I was in the middle of a storm, and I had no idea what would come next. Weeks passed, and I started to think things were finally over. But then, one evening, I logged into my social media. A message request from him. "Hey, how have you been?" it said. The message was innocent enough, but I couldn't shake the dread that settled in my chest. This wasn't over. I knew it. Would you forgive someone who lied to you for so long, or would you walk away and never look back? What would you do if you were me? Let me know in the comments below. Story 3. The bar encounter gone wrong. It was a warm Saturday evening, the kind of night where the air is just cool enough for a light jacket. I had recently gone through a breakup, and the last thing I wanted was to sit alone at home, thinking about what went wrong. So, on a whim, I decided to meet up with some old friends for a drink at a local bar. I wasn't in the mood for anything too serious, just a casual night to unwind. But the night had other plans for me. A few days earlier, I downloaded a dating app. Jenna was the first person I matched with. Her profile was perfect, smiling, spontaneous, with pictures of her on hikes, at concerts, and in the middle of laughing with friends. She looked down to earth and easy to talk to. I was intrigued. We started chatting right away. She was playful, funny, and seemed to click with me instantly. We swapped Instagram handles after just a few messages. Her account was full of selfies and photos from her travels. I was impressed. She had thousands of followers and seemed like someone who knew how to live life. Our conversation moved quickly, and before I knew it, we were planning to meet that evening for drinks at a bar in town. It was spontaneous, and I liked that about her. No pressure, no games, but something about that night didn't feel right from the start. I got to the bar early, hoping to settle in before Jenna arrived. The place wasn't packed, but it had enough of a buzz to make the night feel lively. I ordered a drink, then settled on a stool by the bar. I checked my phone again. No messages from her yet. I kept looking at the door. Maybe she was running late. I was trying to play it cool, but as the minutes ticked by, my anxiety started to rise. Where was she? Why hadn't she texted? Have you ever felt that sinking feeling when someone doesn't show up on time? What did you do? It was nearly 9 p.m., and I hadn't heard a word. That's when I received a text from her. "Hey, I'm here. Just coming in. I'll find you in a sec." I breathed a sigh of relief. At least she hadn't ghosted me. But when I looked up, I didn't see anyone who matched her profile. The crowd was pretty sparse, but I couldn't see her. I texted again, asking where she was. "I'm walking in now. I'll be at the bar." But still, no sign of her. Minutes passed, and then a man slid onto the bar stool next to me. He was older, maybe in his mid-40s, scruffy and wearing a worn-out jacket. He didn't exactly give off good vibes. He greeted me with a grin. "How's it going?" I nodded, trying to ignore him, hoping he'd take the hint. But he didn't. "You come here often?" he asked, taking a seat right beside me. I gave a short response and turned my attention back to my phone, but he didn't seem to take the hint. He kept talking, asking where I was from, what I was doing in town, and then a question that caught me off guard. "You waiting for someone?" It felt off. Something about his tone, his persistence. I didn't recognize him, and yet he kept asking about my night. I texted Jenna once more, this time with urgency. "Where are you?" "I'm at the bar, sitting at the counter." I checked her profile again. I couldn't put my finger on it, but something wasn't adding up. Have you ever been in a situation where someone kept talking to you despite you not being interested? How did you handle it? As I looked back at the screen, something made my stomach twist. Her Instagram was gone. The account I had followed earlier was no longer there. Had she deleted it? Maybe she was busy, or maybe she just didn't like me. But the more I thought about it, the more unsettled I felt. I checked again. Gone. The profile, the pictures, everything. Then, the man sitting next to me smiled in an almost unsettling way. "You're Jenna, right?" he said, his voice lowering. I froze, my heart skipping a beat. "What?" He leaned in closer, and I saw his hand move to the side of my wrist. "I'm Jenna." A chill ran down my spine. Was this some sick joke? Or was I... The man, now grinning like he'd won a prize, grabbed my wrist tightly. "I'm sorry, I just had to meet you. You were too cute to let go." What would you do in that moment? Would you confront him? Or would you try to escape? I jerked my wrist away, adrenaline flooding my body. My heart was racing. The man's grin turned into a scowl, and he muttered something under his breath. I didn't care. I bolted out of the bar, nearly tripping over my feet as I pushed through the door. I didn't stop until I was in my car, locking the door behind me, panting with fear. I drove home in a daze, my mind spinning. Once I got home, I checked my phone again. Jenna's profile was still gone. The only thing left was a direct message from her. "Sorry, I couldn't make it tonight. I'll be in town next week." I stared at the message, heart sinking. I had just been catfished. The man in the bar, he wasn't Jenna. He had pretended to be her, and I had walked right into it. But then I looked down at my phone once more. A notification popped up from Instagram. It was a message request. "Hey, it's Jenna. Sorry about earlier. I know you're probably freaked out, but it wasn't me at the bar." My blood ran cold. There was no way to trust anyone anymore. If you were me, would you go to the police? Or would you ignore it and move on? Let me know what you think in the comments below.